Could it be that Joe Budden was kicked out of his own studio due to an altercation with a neighbor gone horribly wrong? Well, that seems like it might be the case, but I just want to say that this is only coming from a source which appears to be close to the situation. And for about a month, it has been clear that the Joe Budden podcast has been having issues with their studio, as Joe was absent from the show for a few episodes, and when he returned, it was at Park's basement where the show used to record. This led to speculation from fans wondering what happened to his studio located on a New Jersey waterfront. Well, a source that reached out to me recently claims that he is close to whatever happened and has revealed a lot about what's going on behind the scenes. Apparently, there is one neighbor in Joe Budden's condo complex that he has been going back and forth with. I'm talking serious issues and altercations. Issues so serious that Joe has had to go to court over them. It isn't just one neighbor either. There's a litany of neighbors who have issues with the way Joe Budden is running his operation outside of the condo. But the source also says that Joe, on a seedy night in New Jersey, sleepwalked to this neighbor's building unit and didn't have the best of intentions, which led to a disciplinary action by the courts. Not necessarily something that was criminal, but just, hey, stay away, this is pending, we don't need you around right now, you may have crossed the line, so don't dare come back to the complex while we figure this out. But here's the thing, Joe has 2 units in that complex. So everybody sees the studio, everybody sees all of that, but there's another unit in the building in which Joe sleeps or other people sleep. So that adds a whole other caveat to this whole situation, which would explain something else that has been kind of confusing folks who are saying, if Joe was banned from the studio, how come the pod is allowed to record in his absence? Shouldn't they be banned? Well, he was just banned from his other complex, which is why Flip, Melissa Ford, and the rest of the gang were able to do a series of episodes. And you might be also thinking, why does this matter in another regard? Well, the pod mama, his lady, may not have known about his other condo, leading to a double whammy. Why are you hiding secrets from me, Joe? I'm sure that conversation was one they had to have. And that also may have caused a fallout between his lady friend and him, leading to Joe making a trip to the Gucci store to make things right for not being all the way up front with his lady. And for me, I think this is kind of a perfect storm of events, because I thought this had to do with his girlfriend or whatnot and something that happened to the studio. But these two things align with both angles of that story. So when Joe was absent from his show, it was because he was going to court over an issue with his neighbor. Like I said before, this was a pending court order. Joe could not go back to the complex, but the studio in which they record was a separate unit, which made perfect sense why the show, like I said before, was still able to record at the complex while Joe was not allowed on the premises. As for where the show will record moving forward, I think the show's days are done at that complex, as there has been too much bad blood with the neighbors. And Joe crossed the line by stepping to his neighbor, allegedly, in this way. Essentially, the whole building will now be turned against Joe after his latest act. My guess is Joe is looking for other places for his next studio, and within the next few months, we will see interviews take place at different locations throughout the city. And luckily, Joe revealed that he interviewed Dr. Umar previously, and it's recorded, locked, and loaded for release because everybody is waiting for it. Now, this story is just speculation, but the source seemed pretty accurate to me. The reason I'm only going to this with YouTube is because it aligns exactly with what is going on in front of the camera. Everybody's super quiet about it. It explains why Joe is not allowed to be at his old studio, but they're able to record. It also explains why this could have led to a blow up between him and his girlie. So, I don't know. I think this is exactly what happened, and they are going to slow walk this situation because it made Joe look bad. It made Joe look bad that he went to his neighbor and stepped to him. But I don't know what this neighbor is like. I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he's a jerk himself, but this was the boiling point. This was the tipping point that would make it seem like something really bad happened. And if you look at Flip, when he was talking about it, he was acting as if Joe was like something terrible had happened, like he beat some type of crazy illness. But this story makes me think like, oh, this is something terrible that happened. Joe was close to the gun line. Joe could have ended up in a really bad situation. A situation like that where someone goes to someone's unit and they sleepwalking without any clothes on. The cops could come. They could think something's up and violence can ensue. So it makes sense why this hilarious situation is being treated with maturity, because the line was thin between life and death. But let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think that this theory makes sense? I want you to poke holes in this. I don't want you to take it as fact, because it isn't fact. It's simply something that someone sent to me, and I only decided to go on YouTube with it because it just aligns. It explains everything. But maybe it's too good to be true. Maybe it's too good to be true. Now, Joe's lucky that this is happening as he heads to vacation in Costa Rica. It gives him time to get the studio right, to see where he can go. I wonder if Joe's even thinking about places like Philly or Connecticut, where the property is a little bit cheaper and he can maybe buy a building and stuff like that. Some of those condos in Philly look amazing, and they're way bigger than that one he has in Jersey. But only time will tell. And the days of the Joe Budden podcast, I believe, recording on the New Jersey waterfront, might be over, at least in that complex. The building is on high alert. That podcast is way too big. I'm sure the neighbors are talking amongst themselves. And neighbors, if you want somebody to help you, email me, man. I want to hear your story. thestopbk@gmail.com. And I also believe, this is my last theory, that Joe's recent tirades against me on Twitter Spaces might be as a result of me covering this situation and how I can get to expose some of this. Because he would probably prefer none of this hits the YouTube streets. He would probably prefer none of this is known about and that he could deal with it in silence. But the existence of this channel probably grinds his gears, so he's starting to levy other attacks against me. And I'm not saying they're attacks. I think they're actually valid discussions, valid dialogue that need to happen. But we all know how Joe does. If he has an issue with you, not even a serious issue, he will do some type of subconscious attack on you that subverts the actual problem that he has. Right? Look at Rory. Look at his issue with Rory. Oh, this guy's giving record exec, instead of accepting that it was just a business agreement gone wrong. Well, I think what's happening here is I've been doing content about why he may not be at the studio. And I have an audience. Yeah, there's other people doing content about it, but I have a bigger audience. He's like, damn, this really could lead to people finding some stuff out. But like I said, I could be wrong. But Merry Christmas, y'all. All right, y'all. This is Danny from The Stop. Follow me on Instagram, The Stop TV. Follow me on Twitter, The Stop TV. Follow my Patreon. We going up. The numbers is going up. I want to get to the point where my Patreon and YouTube are at equal footing. Right now, my Patreon is about at 10 to 15% of what my YouTube is. But still, that's a lot, and I'm proud of it. With that said, make sure you hug your family on this Christmas. Make sure you watch those basketball games. This is Danny from The Stop. Peace.